Um, I pretty much work in like the accounting department. It's about me, much about me. I'm a nerd, so.
Oh, well, welcome to the club. Now I feel like I'm not excellent. The nerd squad. We're gonna have like a geek prom. So with economics, numbers, I love it. Susie, Susie.
Hi. I couldn't make it last week. I had something planned ahead of time, but what do you want, an introduction, like where I'm from
I need to know that's
stuff
legal.
and
I don't want to go to
stuff?
jail. So anything that's
Anything
going on,
legal?
yeah,
Okay.
something legal. I just don't want to go to jail. So just tell me something that will not knock on my door.
Well, I live in New Hampshire. I know a lot of you guys are in the Boston area, so the Red Sox game's on tonight. I don't know if you're watching it, but after the class, I've been keeping track of that. And I went to the wild card game. I know there's a lot of New Englanders in this class. I'm really excited about that. Right, Evie, you're in the area? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I watched your class, the introduction from last week, and I'm trying to answer things. I'm going, oh yeah, there's the horse, and I'm like, oh, I'm not on this one. So anyway, so I feel like I know you guys a little bit already.
That's
I
so
have
awesome.
three grown children. One lives in Japan, and I'm a revenue accountant for a cost containment company, health IT company.
Great.
I want my MBA.
Well, welcome to the class.
Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome to the class. I'm just like super excited. You also have a financial background, so we're gonna definitely lean on your expertise throughout the course.
Oh yeah, sure.
Is it excellent? Is it Renell? Did I pronounce it correct?
Yeah, it's Raynell.
Oh, excellent. Please, the price is right. Tell me.
Yeah, sounds good. I live in Minnesota and I work at the Mayo Clinic as a project manager. And in the last few classes of my MBA, I did obtain my bachelor's through SNHU. So I've taken quite a few courses through the university, but excited to be here and learn something new.
Yes, excellent. We're excited to have you. Welcome. It's always good to have a SNU alumni here, so it makes it a lot easier. Is it Tiara? Am I pronouncing it correct? You're on mute.
Yes, hi. Sorry, my camera's actually off because I'm actually still at work and trying to double task here. I'm from California. I am a admin manager for a Pilates company, and I am a huge Packers fan.
I forgive you, but keep going. I knew you had one. So keep going.
I'm really interested in kind of moving up in the position I have. Our director, who was a close mentor to me, is retiring. And so I'm hoping I can get some more business under my belt and take over his job.
Well, that's nothing wrong with that. That's nothing wrong with that. That's like a great plan. Well, welcome to the class. We're super excited to have you.
Thank you.
I see Prince spelled with 2 R's. Am I pronouncing it right? Is it short for something else or just Prince?
I'm sorry about that. That's how my computer is set up. My name is Kim Taggart. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm a senior accountant. Been in the accounting field now for 31 years. I'm currently a student at SNHU, pursuing my degree in forensic accounting.
Excellent. Well, welcome. I'm loving this accounting background. You guys have no idea. Like, it's going to be like a nerd party. I can't wait with this number. We're going to throw it in the air and see which sticks up there. So I love it. Some more people were on here. So some of your peers didn't get a chance to hear their introduction when we played a little game. So maybe just pick on 2 for interest of time. Gabriela, how are you? Okay, Gabriela is still on mute. So is it Eva? Eva, I'm gonna get it right by in the 10th week. I promise you, the last day of class, I'm a genius. It took me 10 weeks to get 3 letters. Eva or Eva?
Evie.
Evie. Okay, ask me next week. I'm gonna get it wrong. So Eva.
It's all good. I don't take offense. It's all good.
A little bit.
All right. So I'm a mom of 2 boys. I am in sales, so I'm not a finance geek, but I know a little bit about some numbers. And I've been in sales for about 21 years in various positions. Yeah,
Wow.
so that's quickly it.
No, that's phenomenal. So again, I'm back. I'm gonna be a man of my words. I need to jump off the class because you guys can know who's actually on the call now. Vanessa, oh, she's connecting with audio. So let's talk bad about her before she gets on. And then once she gets on, we're gonna act real fake, like she's our friend. I know you guys do that all the time, so you have a lot of practice in that. So while she's connecting, let me jump off on something real serious note. If I didn't get a chance, unless you're dying to introduce yourself, please chime in the chat. Say, Biz, I want to tell you about my background, but throughout the course, I want to pick your background so I can make the lessons more personable. So I'm going to jump off and actually let Dr. Susan take over. And Susan, it's all yours.
Thank you. I'm actually work at Mayo Clinic also. I'm a physician, a pediatric ear, nose, and throat physician, and was our chief medical officer for the Southwest Minnesota region. And wanted to, I'm going back to get my MBA to learn more about the more of the finances in medicine, and came into this class thinking, oh boy, am I biting off more than I can chew? Because I don't have a finance background. I tend to work hard at different things, but that doesn't mean that you pick up finances really well either. But Professor Bismarck's been fantastic. He breaks it down into little pieces so that you can understand it and stay ahead on what's going on. For me, it was great to attend these classes in person. It's the first class that I had at the university here that had actually Zoom classes. And so it was great to learn from each other. It was great to learn from Professor Bismarck also. So I would highly, highly recommend attending the classes if you can. And if you can't attend them, at least get the video and look at that. Other advice I'd have is Professor Bismarck is a great mentor and a great person to talk to about things if you don't understand it. If you need templates for different things, I wasn't the best at Excel. I've got much better at it during the course, but even some of those templates that if you're not great at that, learning how to do that was really helpful. So I would say it has been my favorite class so far, and that's saying a lot when I'm not a finance type person, but it has been my favorite class so far at SNHU, and I would highly recommend it for anybody.
You're bringing tears to my eyes. Thank you. I think Susan said everything that Susan said. I was echo that, especially around the practicing of the Excel. And I think that's our class we all worked on tremendously. That why spend hours on something when the template is there, we can actually get the practice going on and by just repetition back and forth. But Susan, thanks for being a scholar. You made the class so much interesting, so much engaging. And I already miss all of you guys already. So, but it's a new chance, new friends, and popping in time. You were just a great scholar. I mean that sincerely. I mean the work that you put in, nobody could do the academic background. So you have a bright future already. You're already an accomplished professional, but sky's only the beginning. All right.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, just please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help out.
Please take Susan on that offer. If you see her grades, you know why I say that. Take her on that offer. Look at her name and definitely send her some emails so everybody would do well. So
Thanks
Susan,
so much, guys.
So feel free to stick around, or I know you have better things to do, but thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, everybody, we're gonna jump right into it. The technology is amazing when it works. So let me see if I can pull up my slides actually. And then we're gonna go through our plan. We're about 4 minutes behind, so I'm gonna try to catch up a little bit. I'm gonna get less on my jokes. Vanessa, how are you today? Excellent. I'm so glad that I can't hear you today. This is actually a dream come true. So we can speak in silence if you like, but are you there? Okay, so here's our game plan for today. I'm going to blow up my screen a little bit and just make sure I get my slides all ready. So I'm ready to go. So this is what we're going to do today. Here's our game plan. I wanted to start at 7:05. We did start at 7:05. Kind of give a few minutes to Susan and kind of give you her background experience as a chief medical personnel and having finance and the MBA to attach that to her credentials. And the effort that she put in was extremely incredible towards the end. So I want you guys to hear directly from her mouth rather than me telling you that, you know, the concept in this course is the best thing since sliced bread, because I'm a geek, I'm paid to say that. Today, we're going to actually break down week 2 rubric. So I'm going to break it step by step. And then we're always going to be a week ahead. So after this class, you're still going to be 1 week ahead of your peers. So I'll give you the framework for your first paper. So you have your spreadsheet that we're going to work on today before you leave me. So we're going to do it together. And then I'm going to introduce week 3 assignment and kind of give you step by step what week 3 assignment looks like. And what we're going to do is we want to close it out with week 4. I know it sounds really fast. Can you imagine we're in second week and I'm talking about week 4? Can you imagine that? So the next week when you come to me, we're going to practice what we call financial matrix, right? Internal rate of return, net present value, and payback period. It's going to become your new best friend because it's so easy and practical to understand how you apply it every day of your life. We're going to take a break so I can catch my breath, and you can also stretch your legs, if no pun intended. And then I have 2 bonuses for you tonight. Anybody here, just for a little icebreaker, anybody here like Shark Tank? Anybody watch Shark Tank, heard of the show before? If I can get some heads, yes, I can get some heads, not yet. Have you noticed that when somebody comes in with that whole drama and then they present, they're seeking $100,000 for 10% of the company? You guys remember that? And then they all pick up their notepad and do some calculation. Yeah, we call that hack. We call it MBA hack. I'm going to teach you some of these concepts, right? That people make it like, wow, they're so smart. No, they're not. They have a lot of money than you and I, right? But we're equally as intelligent as they are if we apply ourselves. So I'm going to have built in 2 hacks within the course for you to show you some of these tricks that a lot of these MBAs or business professionals take care of. So that's our roadmap for the night. And I'm going to try to make up some time so we can stay on course. So let me start with Steve Covey. Steve Covey had this famous saying, right? Work with the end in mind. I have no idea why you're pursuing an MBA. I have no idea. Many are doing it for career progression, rightfully so. People are doing it for fulfill a promise to themselves, right? Some are doing it to show off to their children, like if mommy and daddy can do it, you can also do it. I love it. Whatever your reason is, I want to motivate you this evening. Make it personal. Don't ever forget why you started this journey. Don't ever forget, right? Let that be that inspiration, okay? And don't give up and enjoy the process, not the destination. It sounds so cheeseball, but it's so true. If you believe there's going to be this amazing transformation once you get this diploma in your hand, your whole life will change. It may change economically if you get a raise at work, but enjoy the process, the pain, the journey, the late nights that got you there. It's going to make you a better person. That's what I want you to get out of this class for the motivation, right? Don't give up. It's going to get hard. Be patient with yourself. And most importantly, just trust the process, right? Trust your instructors, trust your peers, that together we're going to get it to the week 10. And you're going to come out better than you started, okay? So I hope that helps somebody to keep the lights on. So let's laugh a little bit. For those that are your first time having me, I teach 3 courses for the university. I teach investment, I teach leadership, and then MBA. And this is my 7th year doing this. And every year I learn, every semester term I learn from all of you guys. But I do have a little bit of a reputation that precedes me. Like I try to have corny jokes. So since my jokes are not that super funny, I cheat by go to Google and just kind of Google stuff to get you laughing, kind of loosen up the atmosphere a little bit before we get real serious. So look at this first one for my IT people in the background. It says, are you sure about how to get this data into the cloud, right? So he ties it with a disk and with a balloon. Quite interesting, right? Hope it makes you laugh. For those that have children, isn't this the best way to teach them about taxes? the best way to teach your kids about taxes is by buying 30% of their ice cream. I love it. Yes, this gives me a hack in my household. Really, Daddy, why are you doing that? You're gonna thank me. You're gonna thank me one day. I'm teaching you taxes, right? And then my third favorite is, why did you leave your last job? The company relocated, they didn't even tell me. So if this ever happens to you in your real life, advise yourself, your company did not want you, right? So literally they packed their stuff and they didn't even inform you that they're moving. Let's get into the course. So last week, this is where we left off. So last week, we started talking about financial modeling 101. Okay, I'm not gonna do the same thing. So if you're taking notes, I put in the chat what you're gonna need for today. Please walk away feeling so comfortable with the words revenue, expenses, calculated profit, gross profit margin. Those words should literally come off of your lips like you're saying your name, effortless and understanding the rubric behind it, right? So last week we talked about revenue. Revenue happens to be the top line. Now that you're gonna have your MBA, please do not get excited about revenue. If someone tells you that they made a revenue of $200 million, chuckle, say that's cute, that's nice, but I want more, because that's just the top line. Expenses, just like it sounds like your own personal life, is debt, it's a liability, or we're gonna break it down to cost of goods sold. So we need to deduct our expenses from our revenue before we can get to what we call calculated profit or gross profit margin, okay? Last week, we talked about the difference between gross and net in the context of looking at financial spreadsheets. So let me do a little quick trivia. Why do we call it Black Friday? It's about to come up very soon. So let me seize the moment. Why do we call it Black Friday?
Because you're in the black, they make a lot of money.
I love my accountants. Yeah, we are really, that's our first class. I got it right on the side. We are gonna have a geek party. Yes. Did everybody hear what your peer said? Right? Please chime in. I really don't know everything. I'm like 1 + 1 is 4 in my mind sometimes, so please help me out. So you're 100% right? So for many industries, particularly in the retail space, they generate majority, if I can use the word majority in very loosely, within the black month window, because they go into the black. We call it's positive. So in finance, anytime somebody refers to something as we are in the black, that's a good thing. Red, no. Okay, so that's where we got the word Black Friday from. Okay, it's actually these retailers actually generate profit, holding all else constant, within that window of shopping that they do the entire year. For some of them, it has an asterisk. Okay, we talked about that last week. So today, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drill down in great detail. So you already had this from last week. Okay, the only reason I'm showing this slide again is that today we're going to work on the assumptions. I'm going to teach you how to make an assumption. That's going to be expected from you. Okay, so historical performance, we're going to knock that out because I call that the base year. Projected year, remember, I'm asking you to project 3 years out. You're going to have an outlier. COVID is going to be our outlier, or we call it skew data. We're going to embed that into our analysis. So today, by the time you leave today, you should feel very comfortable with fiscal year, which is at the top line, if you're following my, my screen, fiscal year 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. That's what we call our fiscal year. Many companies have different start of their fiscal year. My accounts are shaking their head. Some close it at the end of the year, some close in the middle of the year, depending on their accounting structure. Revenue. Okay, let me see for those that I can see on my screen. Do we care so much about revenue as MBA students? No, it's a nice number. No, it's a cute number. I always pick on Apple, right? Apple will come in the news that, oh, we made $21 billion in revenue. Cute. As a stock trader, as an investment banker, I laugh at it. I'm like, okay, that's cute. Tell me more. There's a lot of speculation that people that don't understand numbers run to the Forex or run to the market because of that top number. Don't be deceived by it. Cost of goods sold is a direct cost that goes into producing it. So we want to know our expenses, right? Gross profit margin, our next margin. So anytime you think about margin, right, think about the next cost, okay, the next unit that would generate me that profit. And then what we care about in Business 101 is our net, our net income. So for those, my accountants chime in, everybody else please show chime. What are the 3 top balance sheets that we look at? Financial statements that we look at, if better question. What are the 3 financial statements that we look at all the time? What are the top 3, if I can use that? Anybody remember?
Income statement, balance sheet, and cash flows.
Phenomenal, phenomenal, right? So those are the 3 that stick out at our head. And out of all those 3, income statement, what am I looking for? Income statement. What's the one thing that makes me tickle at the bottom? What's the last number that makes all of us tickle? Tickle meaning that we're happy to see it if it's in black. It's called what?
The net income.
Net income, phenomenal, right? Then on the balance sheet, ladies and gentlemen, I know all of the assets are important. Owner's equity, liability is extremely important. But in business 101, what is king? At the top line of a balance sheet, what is the one thing that we say is king on our balance sheet that drives everything else? What do we want? It starts with a C.
Assets.
On the asset side, exactly. But what's that? If we're to drill down the assets, what is the line item that we're looking for on the asset side that starts with the C? That's king.
Capital.
Capital, okay, but give me capitals. Okay, what's another one? It's a 4 letters now. So you're warm with capital.
Cash.
Cash. So ladies and gentlemen, it's a Latin word I'm going to use a lot in this class, right? It's called paribus syllabus, right? Honelos constant, paribus syllabus. We can agree to disagree because I keep telling you, I'm not the smartest man in the world. I don't want to be. But in business, can we all make an assertion tonight that cash is king?
Yes, it is.
It gives you leverage. True or false? Can anybody think of any other asset class that's more liquid than cash?
No. Nope.
That's why it gives leverage. Have you ever heard it in the news, business news a lot, when somebody say, well, we're doing a merger and acquisition, some equity, some cash, and they get a premium for the cash? Yeah. If a company wants to go and buy you out and gives you cash, oh my God, you should be hugging them, kissing them, because that's a premium. But if they give you stock options, buildings, assets, what am I going to do with that? I can't liquidate that very quickly. But with cash, I can liquidate. So on the balance sheet, that's what we're looking for, right? And then the cash flow, we want to look at that behavior. We call it transitory right now because it's trending in business because of COVID. But the monetary side, we want to look at the trend of their cash flow, right? Positive, negative, seasonality. So these are all things that we need to understand when we're looking at our balance sheets. We're going to talk about that in this course. So today I want to show you about these assumptions that we pull from these 3 statements. All right, now I need you to take some notes for me. This is your rubric. So your assignment on the left-hand side is literally copy and paste. This is what your rubric says, and you're not in my head. So I want to break it down. On the right-hand side is how I pull it away. So it says, show 2 years of financial history, including revenue, expenses, calculated profit, and calculated profit margins. So for some of my students that don't have a finance background, they're like, okay, what's revenue? What's expenses? Even though we had a prerequisite to this class 540, sometimes we learn it and we forget it. So I've already went into great detail what those numbers are, what those concepts are. So when you think of revenue, always think about income. Think about the top line, price times equity, times quantity, right? Something that will give me my revenue. I like to learn the term top line. I like income. Some people can use sales as a synonym for that, but my revenue is my top line. Then my expenses in part 1, it says your expenses, okay? Your expenses are a liability, all right? It's something that costs you to generate that revenue. That's the most layman's way I can explain it for my 11-year-old and my 9-year-old to understand, okay? So a lot of times you can, for my accountant, please help me out. So you have cost of goods sold, which is your direct expense associated with that unit, okay? So we have a better saying. Let me break it down for you. I'm picking on this company today because I did analysis for a client today. So Disney, can somebody tell me what Disney owes? What are some of the subsidiaries of Disney? So we can have a conversation, please. Disney owns what and who?
CBS, Marvel.
Okay. Okay.
They own DreamWorks.
Okay.
DreamWorks.
Okay. Just for interest of time, I can only, Sarah, definitely I haven't had a chance to like verify this. So just please, I take your word for it. But what I do know is ABC, ESPN, Carnival. So I can't say yes to CBS because I haven't seen it yet. I haven't verified. So I definitely want to say maybe you have some information to share with us. So I want to give you credit for that. But what I do know that I can co-sign will be I'm saying CBS, excuse me, ABC. See what you're doing to me, Sarah? ABC. They own a Carnival, obviously a cruise ship. Okay. They also own Pixar, obviously, and then their studios that they also own. So let me link it. So when they report their financials, right, they can do an aggregate, right, consolidated. Okay. Or they do line items. Now that you have an MBA, get into the business of looking at line item revenue. What is the revenue associated with that business unit? So nobody deceives you. Okay, it's really, really important. Some companies have a way of saying, you know what, ESPN, they think about spending ESPN as we speak. ESPN could be doing phenomenal on their balance sheet. Then they have another business that's doing so horrible, but they want you to invest in that business line. But so they've lumped up all of their revenue into one. Be able to have a conversation about pulling them apart. That's how companies hide a lot of their financial woes, okay? Profit. We talked about, again, the bottom line, right? Staying in the black, gross versus net. Many people say gross profit is X, Y, and Z. We don't care about gross profit. It tells part of the story. We want net profit. That's what your rubric is talking about. Okay, and then express this in the terms of margin, right? So what's the profit margin? So it's expressed in percentage. So the main thing, anytime you hear profit margin, think of this, right? How many cents of a profit has been generated from $1 of sale? Okay, so that next unit. So the one thing that always helps me remember profit margin, okay, so I'm thinking, okay, so we're making profit, I need to know my profit margin. What is my next unit, right? How much is it gonna cost me to make one more dollar? Okay, organize it that way. Then there's a formula, okay? If you want to get to the net profit margin, take your revenue, which you already know, take your costs, it could be your expenses, divided by your revenue, that you can get that margin, the next margin up. So that's the terminology that I can break down for you if you're taking notes. So now that you have a good understanding of all these terminology, then it asks you to say, show 3 years of future financial projections. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to drill down on the assumptions part. 3 years. So now let's say if I have a base year, stay with me for a moment. If I have a base year of 2018 and 2019, what would be my 3-year financial projections? What would be my 3 years?
19, 20, and 21.
Phenomenal, right? That's exactly it, right? So we're just counting 3 years out. That's how we set up the physical year. But then we still have to calculate the revenue, the expenses, and the calculated profit that goes with it. Then third, the rubric asks you, show me the formula. Show me the formula, right? If you're not really averse with Excel, let these become your best friend. Equal sum. Oh my God, it starts everything for you. Equal sum, parentheses, the rest will figure it out. I'm gonna help you cheat. My dean don't like when I keep saying this word because he watches it. Cheat, 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 cheat. They're professionals. I'm gonna help them cheat, right? So they can save time. So there are all of these formulas that we can have out there that can actually help you calculate these concepts. Then identify key assumptions. Some of my peers don't understand what assumptions are. So tonight we're gonna go over that. Anytime you hear the term present data in a professional manner or presentation vehicle, that's the term the rubric likes to use a lot, it means make it look fancy, colorful. Differentiate between your header and your column. That's what we're asking for. So let me work from the top up. So present data in professional manner, make sure that it's not black and white. Your Excel spreadsheet looks attractive. You added graphs to it if you can do that. If you can't, make it look colorful. Let the column be one color. Let your other, if you're going horizontal, be colorful. Vertical, let it be colorful, and you're covered. Assumptions, I need about 7 of them. what assumptions is driving your projections? You're gonna do 3 years projections. So you're gonna need to know, okay, what's gonna make my number go from 2020 to 2021 and 2022? What's gonna be my spread for my revenue? What's the spread? Expenses, what's gonna be the spread? Profit margin, what's gonna be the spread? You can't just say, I think, or I'm making it up. It doesn't work at this level. We have to have some solid assumption to support it, okay? All right, so now let's start.
Oh, all right. I have
Yes.
a kind of a, I don't know if this is silly or not. Yeah, are you saying you want us to do years 2017 and 2018, or could our projection years be 2021, 2022? I didn't know, do you want some of our projection years to be past years so then we can compare them eventually to real results to see how close we are? Or do you see what I'm asking?
Yes, Vanessa, how are you? I've been trying to dodge you the whole day, but you got me. Congratulations. I'm really salty right now, but I'm gonna, please forgive me. Congratulations, I lost this weekend. So answer your question on a serious note. No, I'm not putting in the box. All right. So you can select your 3-year projections. All right.
Okay.
It does not have 2019, 2020, 2021. But in my humble opinion, right, we're all professionals, make sure you can justify why you selected 2023, 2024. What historical context are you going to base your projections on? If you want to say, Bismark, I'm not even going to touch 2019, 2020, because those are outliers, COVID driven. I don't want those negative numbers. Explain that. Why you jumped 2020, 2019, right? Explain, then you're covered, but don't just make an assumption that it didn't happen, right? So I don't know if I answered your question. So I'm not putting you in a box. You can select any 3 years that you want. You can select any 2 base years that you want, but please make it as realistic as humanly possible. Support the years you select with some assumptions, all right? Okay, so in the rubric, it says show your 3 years financial projections, revenue, expenses, we already covered that. Show formulas. So let's start. So everybody is gonna have a base year. Base year meaning that historical, it's already happened. You'd be surprised, I have seen a base year of 2022 before. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not a base year, right? Base year is historical, right? If it makes you easier, just say historical. It's happened in the past. So therefore you can use it to manipulate your projections, okay? This is gonna be an oxymoron, but 2019 has already happened. 2020, 2021, but this is just for illustration purposes, okay? So this has already happened. So if I pick a base year of 2017 and 2018, right? This will be my logical 3-year projection. That's why you see that right there. Does that make sense? Somebody on this call right now can say, you know what? I'm gonna make 2019 my base year. Are they right? Yeah. Somebody can say, I'm gonna make 2020 my base year. Are they right? Now, 2021, I'm scratching my head unless you use the quarters that's already been passed, but I wouldn't do it because you're asking for trouble, okay? Base formula, I said it already, equal sum, okay? To start out all your formula, you must put formulas in it. And I'm gonna show you how to do those formulas right now. Your first MBA hack is this from me. We call it back of the envelope. If you don't know this already, please, very impressive. How you do a percent change of any number, it scares a lot of my students. Like, oh my God, how do I do a percent change? Well, ladies and gentlemen, new number minus the old number divided by the new number will give you a percent change of any particular number. Simple. It looks very attractive in meetings, right? Or let me do a percent change for that for you real quick. So just remember, if you don't want to be a geek like me, I like to use, letters, right? And numbers. So X2, which is new, right? The 2 is new because 1 and 2, right? Minus 1 divided by my new, which is X2, will give me a percent change of any number in this world. Learn how to do that. It's very, very impressive. So in your spreadsheet, you can do a percent change of every column, right? That's very, very attractive if you want to play with that. Now, if you're really struggling with Excel, don't know how to do these formulas, this is the best reference I can find online. You can Google it and then kind of just practice at your free time of how to do the Excel spreadsheets. Any questions on this before I go to my next slide? Okay. All right, now.
I have one quick question. So when you say show formulas in an Excel document, how do you, I know how to do formulas. I guess I've never shown my formulas.
Excellent right now. So it's going to be embedded in your Excel. So as long as you calculated the sales with the formula, when you do your assignment, I'm going to put on the cursor, it's going to tell me the formula.
Okay, that's what I assumed. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Great clarification. So, but now, as you raise a really, really good point right now. Now, if you do a screenshot, for lack of better words, of your work and you submit that to me, there's no way I can give you credit for your formula. Does that make sense? So don't submit that to me. Don't be lazy. And I say that very politely, right? Don't cut corners. Okay. So submit the entire spreadsheet to back to Renell's point, and I could be able to see your formula embedded into your worksheet. Okay. So now we're starting. This is what you're paying me for. Everything else has just been introductory. This is what you're paying me for. How on heavens do I make assumptions before we go to the expression? How? So indulge me, and I'm asking politely for you to copy this. You are going to get my notes, but when we write something, it tends to stick a little bit more. Okay, so an assumption is exactly what the word is. I'm guessing that this may be this may be that, but I am supporting it with some analysis to justify my projections, or I call quote unquote my spread. Stay with me for a moment, right? So 2019, 2020, 2021 are my projection years. I need to project my revenue. Every company, all my accountants are shaking their head. This is what they do for fun. They're geeks like me, right? They have to project before the year starts or mid-year to see if they're hitting their target or not. We're trying to teach you the same thing. So when the accountant brings you the numbers, you can actually ask questions. I want 7 to 10 line items justifying your projections. 7 to 10, there's nothing magical about 7 to 10. It just shows me that you're putting some effort into it. Then you're gonna create a conclusion at the bottom of your spreadsheet. 1 or 2 paragraphs maximum, explaining your data, what happened, right? Did your analysis work? Was the number favorable or not favorable? And what did you learn? Literally 2 paragraphs. I'm even asking for too much. 1.5, I'll be very happy, but 2 paragraphs, we're doing okay. That's the structure of your spreadsheet. So you have your numbers, historical, you have your projections, underneath it, you have your assumptions, and then your conclusion. That's stellar work. Ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you another cheat? If you do this really, really well, you're gonna give yourself a lot of less headache in week 6 and 7, because this document builds on it to week 10. So a lot of my students get lazy in this document, very politely, then they struggle in week 7 and 8. I can't teach you Excel on a phone. It's very difficult to explain to you formulas over the phone. So let's take the time now in week 2. Let's kill it, get some good feedback, and then be free in week 6 and 7. That's just my humble advice. I could be wrong, okay? So how do we make an assumption? So now I'll get to it. So how do we make assumptions? You make assumptions with these 4 bullet points: benchmarks, micro and microeconomic factors. Last week, I touched on it a little bit. What example did I use last week for the difference between macroeconomics and then microeconomics? Anybody remember?
Macro was like the whole pizza, and the micro is like a slice of pizza. So it's like corporation versus small business.
Awesome. Who was that? I couldn't see your name on my screen. Who was that?
Kim Taggart.
Excellent. Well said. Exactly, right? For my visual learners, right? So think of the whole box of pizza. It's macro. That's Joe Biden of the world, right? Joe Biden handles the macro issues of our economy: inflation, unemployment, monetary policy, fiscal policy. So the aggregate of the economy, we call it macro, so the whole box of pizza. Then your governor and your mayor or city council, they handle the micro: small businesses, price elasticity, supply and demand, competition, market structure, like oligopoly, monopoly, perfect competition. That's their headache. So think of the slice of pizza is the micros, the small tunnel vision of the economy. You need those factors. What I just mentioned are what we call factors. Industry shocks and outliers. What is the biggest outlier and shock that's happened to the world from 2019 and 2020 and even now? Tell me. That all of us are affected. Every single, if you call yourself a human being, you've been impacted. COVID, right? I have a case study for you. I actually had a client that has lost $2 million because of COVID. And he failed to understand economic modeling 101. And I have this case that I want to show you today. So this stuff is real application. It's not something we're just making it up, right? Your businesses have been impacted because of COVID. Many of you guys, depending on the industry that you're working in. Many of us used to be working in our office. Now we're teleworking remotely. It's changed the entire industry. We call that an outlier. So imagine companies making a forecast for 2020 in their numbers. What does that number look like if you're an airline company, if you're a hotel company, if you're a cruise line company? Think about that. This is part of the projections. And it has self-correction later on. Then historical context, this is my favorite, right? Historical context, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody on this call can project accurately with no standard deviation of error, 30 years from now, please tell me the lottery number right now, and I'm gonna quit my job because I wanna play the lottery every day because of you. Please don't lie to me, all right? Don't lie, I have a family, all right? So 30 years out, I'm scratching my head, it's very hard to do. 20 years, it's a 50. 10 years is very realistic. We can project out 10 years looking at some historical trends, right, that can support our assumption. So let me break it down for you. 10-year note is your favorite number in Business 101. The 10-year. If you write anything down on this slide, circle 10 years to 10Y. That 10-year note is how we determine credit card, student loans, and mortgage. Is the one indicator that business professionals use to determine what interest rate is going to be in the future. Because 10 years is manageable. It's a decade that is not too far out. It's not too far back. We can manage. The 2-year, fuzzy, 90-day treasury, 3 months. I can't do much in 3 months. 2 years, it's a little sticky. But 10 years, I can use it as part of my analysis using making assumptions. Now, let me take a deep breath and stop. What questions do you have about the 4 bullet points before I go to the bandwidth? That shows you how to do the math. So benchmarks, meaning that what's the historical context, right? Give me another company within that industry that is increasing by 18%. So if I'm Nordstrom, who's my competitor that I can peg my analysis against? Let's call it benchmark, right? So who else in the industry is doing it? What are my peers? For my accountants, please help me out. We have something called concentration ratio in every industry. You can take the top 5 players, they control the entire movement of the industry. We call it concentration ratio. Macro and micro factors. Google it quickly. What are some of the drivers that can drive my assumptions because of the macro environment or the macro environment? And is there any industry shocks, right? What commodity right now is under a lot of pressure because of global warming? What commodity that we get from the ground that a lot of people say, no, I'm not interested in this anymore? What commodity? It starts with an O. Okay, water's there, and water, we're gonna need it because 70% of our body made out of water. We're gonna need that for life, to be alive. It starts with an O. What commodity do we abstract from the ground? Oil. You see how the industry shock is coming in? So the entire oil industry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not giving you stock advice. They're struggling. I'll be shocked if OPEC, they all come together, right? Oil producing countries, if they lower the price of oil. It's not in their best interest because it's a commodity That in economics, we call it the law of diminishing marginal return, okay? Increasing at a decreasing rate. We're getting away from fossil fuel. Everything's becoming cleaner, electric. So that industry has been hit. So when I get an investment proposal in oil and gas, I begin to laugh. How are you gonna make 15% return every single year? Dumb, how? It's not reasonable. Now for the first next 10 years, we can laugh about it. But after that, forget it. 2035, you and I are gonna get a rebate from the US government to ensure that we have EVs, because it's gonna be in our own long-term selfish interests, not because we like you, because we want you to change your consumer behavior. So that industry is gonna be impacted very positively. Historical context, your numbers. 30 years ago, what was happening in that industry? 20 years ago, what was happening? 10 years ago, what was happening? So you have some historical context to your assumption. Now, okay, Bismarck, that's all dandy. So now how do I do the spread? What is my numbers? Ladies and gentlemen, average spread, if the industry is mature. Can somebody give me an industry that's been around for decades? Give me an industry that's been around for decades. Any industry.
Food.
Food, yeah. We've been eating, so we have fast food, we have agricultural base. Another one that starts with an A, Henry Ford is a hen.
Automotive.
Automotive, right? We all can agree that automobile industry has been here for a minute and it's here to stay, right? Cars, last time I checked, we were saying that it was gonna be flying by the year 2020. I haven't seen one yet. When I'm sober, hint, hint, when I'm sober, right? So when you start seeing cars flying, please let me know. And whatever you're having, give me some too, because I want to see the car fly. So we've been deceived. I haven't seen cars fly yet. But now we see cars that can be plugged into a wall. So the industry is very mature. That's my silly example. It's very mature. It's very stagnant. Banking is very mature. So if your industry is mature, right, you can get away with year over year. That's why YOY stands for year over year, revenue, profit, gross net, however way you want to see your spread from 3 to 14%. I like the number 3. Can somebody tell me why I started with 3? Because I'm a geek. Why did I start with 3? Because it beats what? It starts with an I. It beats what?
Inflation.
Who said that word?
Which,
Right now, what is it? I'm sorry, the line was breaking. Oh, help me out. The line was breaking.
I said inflation.
Awesome, awesome. That was the word, inflation. And textbook definition of inflation is sustained increase in pricing, right? Inflation is not good, depending on quote unquote, right? How mature your economy is. It's like the Goldilocks. You don't want it too cold. You don't want it too hot. You want it just right. In the US, we pegged our inflation at 2.2% to 3%. Okay, so 3%. Let me give you a silly joke. I'm stealing my lecture 4 notes away. Ladies and gentlemen, if your boss gives you, and I say this politely and I'll jump off, if your boss gives you a raise of 2%, it's a joke. It's a joke. Say thank you, but no thank you. Like really, what am I gonna do with 2%? 3% raise. Yes, right, good point, right? Because inflation is literally, we pegged it at 2.2. If you want to be real technical, make it 3%. So anything above 3%, then you're having a healthy conversation about your livelihood. Anything under 3% is a joke. That's why we still have the living, working poor. Can you imagine people working 40 plus hours a week and they're still poor? Because we don't have living wage, we have a minimum wage. Think about the semantics. Minimum wage and living wage are 2 different things. Right now, of course, we have wage inflation we have to talk about later on, but that's a different class. Take my next class. All right, so average 3 to 14%. I'm not gonna say anything. You're not on my radar. Fundamentally support your spread. Good bandwidth growth over your spread, 15 to 25%. Now, the question you gotta ask yourself, is that sustainable? What company can have a revenue growth of 15 to 20% for 3 years out or 10 years out? I'm giving you a hint in week 6, because you have to pull these numbers 10 years out later on. So if your spread is between 15 to 25%, you and I are like Martha Stewart. We're gonna go to jail because maybe you have some insider information that we don't know. So because I don't want to go to jail, right? Blockbuster year, you're gonna have a blockbuster year. Imagine if you're a Pfizer, right? They're having a blockbuster, but is that sustainable, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. Right now, it's not sustainable. We call it blockbuster year because it's not sustainable. It's like a roller coaster, right? I've never been on a roller coaster that's only because the best part of a roller coaster is to go down, right? I've never been on a roller coaster that just only goes down, right? It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So how sustainable is that? So my point I'm making with that point, that slide is, if you're gonna do your spread, pick your bandwidth. That's how you make an assumption. So you have your benchmark, you have your macro, you have your industry, then you have your bandwidth. Bandwidth is the numbers that I gave you. You pick the numbers. It's not my job. You can pick average, good, blockbuster. The only thing I'm asking you to do is what? Support it within your narrative, that between 7 and 10 line item. Why is it growing by 25% from 2020 to 2021? Why? Because of A, B, and C. Okay, cool. Why is it only growing by 3% for expenses? Because of A, B, and C. Okay, that makes sense. Now you're doing very high level rigor, Harvard level analysis, because you're bringing in so many different factors into your assumption.
I just clarify, so year over year, is that the calculation revenue divided by profits minus gross minus net? Is that the calculation right behind it, or is that correct?
No, please. Thanks for asking that question. So year over year, I'm just pulling it out. You can do year over year for your revenue, for your profits, right? And then your gross and then your net. So these are just some words that supports whatever your bandwidth you're doing it for. So you
Can
do
year over year be, can year over year be your calculated profit margin year over year?
Yeah, it can be, but for maybe I made a mistake here. When I'm saying year over year, this is what I'm actually looking at right here. It's just your physical year, right? It's just going to be your physical year. You're pulling it out year over year. So 2020, 2019, 2020, between those two, year over year, right? I had to start from somewhere. I have to end somewhere. So that's year over year. So I started in June physical year. I ended in June 2021. Okay, that's my whole entire year over year. So it's just the year that I'm pulling out, not the calculation of the concept, which is revenue, gross net. Ooh, I went ahead of myself. Okay, so don't let the Y over year distract you too much. Just put in place physical year. If that's kind of causing a little confusion, just put physical year. What's your year over year bandwidth spread? You can do it, y'all. This is high stuff, but you can do it. Any other question? Please feel free. I work for you. So now let me show you for. I'm running out of time a little bit. So let me talk about market misconception. I'm going to do it really, really quickly, and then I will come back to it later on in the course. Okay. So the stock market rally. Okay. It's misconceptions. Okay. The stock market is not reality. For guys like me and you. Stock market, the average person walking down the street either has a 401k or what's the other one? 401k and 403b?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Right? Which maybe is invested in those funds. But for everybody else, it's for geeks like me that manipulate the market to make money. So it's not reality. So you don't base a lot of your assumptions on the stock market. You can lose money if you don't know what you're doing. The speculator traders. If you don't believe me, look at Robin Hoods of the world. When COVID happened, a lot of young people went crazy, made a lot of good money, and also lost a lot of good money because they became speculators in the market. It's not a concept. It's bad public news. That's all it is. It's just public management, public relations management for a lot of these companies. M&A transactions. Companies literally can throw assumptions and ruin your models by doing what we call M&A, which is merger and acquisition. It's a type of business combination. We're going to talk about that in this course. I like George Soros. He's a speculator investor. So you have what we call artificial targeted investors. They go out there, they buy a company, intentionally ruin it, sell it, and make their money. That's a different type of investor. So reason I share that with you is because that can distort your assumptions, but mute it because it's not sustainable. Stock market, buying stocks into a company just gets a lot of hype, if I can use a street term. But the fundamentals of the company hasn't changed yet. That's where the growth is. It's when the fundamentals of the company changes. New product, research and development, proper expansion, right? Hiring and training. Those are the fundamentals that change a business. So don't let the stock market change your assumptions. Don't let somebody say, I'm going to do M&A just to create hysteria in the market, change your assumptions. Don't let investors like hedge fund managers, Bitcoins of the world, off dark market, and George Soros of the world change your market. So if I'm writing your paper, this is what I would do, okay? Don't give me a straight line assumptions. It's very weak. That's what it means. Like you took year 2020, 2021, and 2022 and said every year revenue went up by 2%. My expenses went up by 1%. Ladies and gentlemen, that's weak. I can't find any better word to use than that, okay? It's very weak. There's no analysis in that. Mixed revenue, right? Expenses, reasonable spread. Pick your reasonable spread. Reasonable spread is what I gave you. Average, good, and blockbuster. You pick. You pick. Which spread do you want to use? Can you pick more than one? Absolutely, knock yourself out, as long as you can support it. And then the last part is mirror. Business cycle product introduction. When I use the term business cycle, every single business has a business cycle. Anybody familiar with GAAP? GAAP.
General accounting principles?
Another accounting concept, the retail outlet.
Oh.
GAAP. Awesome, I know, really.
I'm a nerd.
Okay, no problem. Welcome to the club. What are the two other companies that Gap owns?
Old Navy and I think Banana Republic.
Phenomenal, exactly. So Gap owns Old Navy and Banana Republic. If you go to the mall and you're like, I hate Gap, I'm gonna go and shop at Old Navy. Okay, go ahead. You just made the company the same money. I can't stand Banana Republic, but I love me some Gap. Idiot. It's the same company, right? But you would never say that to the customer because customers are always right. We would never say that. Okay. But guess what? They have a business cycle based on their product line. So let's say with humility, I would never go to Old Navy and spend $200 on a sweater. It's not their price point. Even Gap is not their price point, but Banana Republic is their luxury line. That will make sense. $55, $70 at Gap, that makes sense. Old Navy, oh, my little girls, please go in there, pick whatever you want on Daddy Christmas, $10, knock yourself out. I feel like I'm a rich guy. Yeah, $10, $19, $40, that's about it. The point I'm making here is that when the product life cycle ends, have you noticed that there's a store called Burlington Coat Factory? Anybody familiar with them? Have anybody ever heard of Marshalls? TJ Maxx?
Yes.
That's a real life example of product life cycle. When the product life cycle stops at Macy's, they take those goods and give it to another outlet. So every product and every business has a life cycle. You have to determine which life cycle your business is in. Have they introduced a new product? Has Nordstrom brought out something so phenomenal? Yeah, it's gonna peak. They're literally gonna make a lot of money. Then eventually it's gonna fall. You can call it a trough in a recession contest. Then they're gonna expand again. When they begin to expand again, right? It's called R&D to make it better. Can I pick on Apple for a moment so I can jump off and we're going break? Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are really rich. And I said, I'm not trying to be cynical. I would never get in line to get an iPhone 13, 12. I can't even keep up. I have me an old fashioned, it makes me call. I receive my messages, call it a day. But Apple needs to create a hype for their product lines. right? Can Apple right now, with all sincerity, sell an iPhone 7 for $700? No.
No.
Why not? Tell me why not, because you're right.
Because you have consumers that's keeping up with the 12, 13, 14, and newest models that's coming out every year.
That's it. And that's very, very intentional. So they have a business cycle for those models, right? They give it to a third party. They give it to companies that can say, you know what? Add this to part of your promotion, and then you're okay. So everything has a business life cycle. So now, for those that have the Excel spreadsheet, this is what I'm asking you to do. Okay, everything that I've said now, I want you to apply it. 5 minutes, we take a break. I can do this in 5 minutes if you don't have any questions, but if you do, feel free. So this is the template. Every company is a little bit different, right? If you have LS, it's a little bit different. You have Atras, it's a little bit different. If you have Nordstrom, it's a little bit different. But the template doesn't change. If you want to create your own template, please feel free, okay? I highly encourage you to do it. So fiscal year is at the top. Revenue, now look at my revenue. Ladies and gentlemen, where am I getting my revenue from my base year or my historical performance? Where am I getting it from?
The financial statement.
Thank you very much. Last class, didn't I give you where you can get those financial statements? Yes, true or false?
True.
You don't make up the historical numbers, ladies and gentlemen. It's like your taxes, unless you want to go to jail. I don't know why we can say jail a lot tonight. I don't know why. All right. So please we don't make up our historical numbers. It's given. Here's the hack. Now, I'm not asking you to go and find the sales, general, administrative expenses, the reoccurring charges. No, if you do that, it's phenomenal because it's going to help you weeks from now. Whatever you can find, add it. But the bare minimum is revenue, cost of sales, calculated profit, or AKA make it give me the margin. Okay, that's all I'm asking for. But I'm a geek. I'm trying to prepare you for greatness. That's what I'm doing. I don't want to give you bare minimum. If Harvard would give their students this, why can't I give you the same? The only difference is the instructors and the willingness to learn. Unless you want to pay $80,000 a year for your MBA, God bless you, knock it out. But it's the same concept. It's just the delivery is different in your network. So that's your historical numbers. Any questions on historical numbers? Please ask me. Don't ask me in email. It's very hard for me to explain.
Can I clarify? I have a lot of questions tonight, but can I clarify? So calculated profit margin on the spreadsheet should be a percentage. Is that 2 decimals, 1 decimal, or doesn't it matter? Or doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. You can pull the tens place out. It doesn't really matter.
But it should be a percentage. I didn't hear that part. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Please help me out, somebody. So now, if we are to do projected performance, does everybody understand why I'm picking the base year 2021, 2022, 2023 as my historical, not historical, projected performance? Because it's in the future, right? So now this is where all the analysis that we've been talking about happens. Is for the 2021, is that number given to me or I have to project it?
Should project it.
Good. Now let's see if you're really following me. Out of the 3 benchmarks, what were the 3 different criteria of the spread that I gave you? It was what? One was average.
Good and blockbuster.
Phenomenal. This is where you begin to spread it. So you can tell yourself between 2020 and 2021, what is the spread? You can make it average, you can make it good, or you can make it a blockbuster. But what's the catch? What's my catch? You have to what?
Justify whatever numbers you pick.
I am getting so happy. I'm getting happy. I'm actually wanting to do my dance. Vanessa, forget my team calls. Today I'm winning because my students are scholars, so I don't even care. All right, so forget about the Cowboys now. That's exactly it. Justify why we're spreading it. Now, if you want to be a super geek and you want to add sales percentage, you can, but you don't have to. right? It's just a nice technique to have. Now, for 2022 and 2021, is that 2022 number given to me, or I have to forecast that number?
Forecast it.
Forecast.
Good. Using what benchmark? What was the 3 benchmarks that I gave you?
Average.
Mhm.
Average, Blockbuster.
And good.
Okay, so I heard average and Blockbuster. What was in between?
Good.
Good. Okay, so in 2023, is that number given to me, or I have to forecast that number too?
Forecast.
Forecast it.
Forecast that number using what benchmark?
Average, good.
Average, good, or good.
Can I? This may be a rhetorical question, but can I pick all Blockbuster for all 3 years?
Probably not.
Yes, you can.
Yes, I can. But Ms. Prince said, yes, I can. It's my word.
Yeah,
You better do what? You better do what?
Justify.
justify.
And what were some of the techniques to help us justify and explain the assumptions? We're looking at what? One starts with the B.
Benchmark.
Bandwidth.
Box.
Benchmarks, and then what are the economy? What are the 2 lenses to look at the economy?
Macro and
Micro,
micro.
industry shocks.
Exactly, right? That's where you get your words from. Now, for interest of time, when I get to sales, am I doing the exact same structure for sales? When I say structure, I'm looking at a spread from 2021, 2022, and 2023. Am I doing the same thing?
Yeah, there should
Yes.
be projections.
Yeah, for my cost of sales and my expenses, I'm doing the same thing, right? I can change my benchmark if I want to, but I have to justify. Then I can do my gross profit margin. At the end of the day, add them up and make sure that the formulas are there. So the formulas that we're talking about, look at this. If you come to 2021, right? And then I peg it against 2020, I can run a formula, right? Equal sum. And then if it's 10%, I can write the formula 10%, and it will calculate that for you in Excel. Excuse me. Are we on the same page?
Yeah.
All right, so at the bottom, we've already done it, right? Your assumptions for 2021, give me some wording for 2021. What was so unique about 2021? You don't have to do it for every single year, 2022, 2020. If you do, oh my God, you put a smile on my face, okay? If you do 1 or 2, I am okay. You go to your cost of goods sold. What is your assumptions there? Give me 1 or 2. Gross profit margin, give me 1 or 2. From there, you can stop. But if you want to be a geek and keep going, please knock yourself out. Then you come to my bottom. You give me a conclusion. Oh my God, with this company, what did I learn? What was true about my assumptions? How did COVID, if COVID is part of your conversation, what did they do so remarkably that I found in my reading that supported my justification? Ladies and gentlemen, that's your assignment. Due on Sunday. Any questions? I want to take a break. Any questions? Oh, come on, you guys are too polite. Or how are we feeling? Let me do a pulse check. How are we feeling? Are we confused? Is it overwhelming? You're trying to adjust, or this is the best geek party you've ever been?
I have a question about the reading and the spreadsheet that we're doing. How if they had you calculate, there were a lot of calculations in that reading. Are we needing to use any of those in order to find out? Okay,
Just practice,
yeah.
just to make you feel, just make me comfortable. Okay.
You're probably gonna laugh at this question, but when you do your projected 3 years out, you stated don't use the same figures. So if I'm saying there's like a projected growth of a bandwidth that's average, so between 3 and 14%, that I should choose different numbers each year. I shouldn't just say every year it's gonna grow 5%. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I
laughing.
know it might be a dumb question. I just want to make sure I got that right.
It's not a dumb question, but you understand why though, right? I think that's more important.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you increase your cash flows, then you're going to invest. And so, I mean, there's all of or if you increase your sales, then there's other downstreams. And so the number wouldn't necessarily be the same year to year.
Exactly. I like your rationale, right? Because
Okay.
it's just so realistic in a perfect world, right? Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't want to pontificate more than that. Okay. How we doing? How we doing? We're almost there. Can I do a pulse check? Eva?
Good.
I got it right? No, I did not. You're being polite. I didn't get it right.
No, I got it. I got it, I think. I think.
You hanging in there?
I'm hanging in.
All right. Hang in there. KG, how are you? I see your name as KG, so forgive me if I'm not calling correctly.
It's fine. No, I just do it because it's simple. Yeah, I'm good. I took a lot of notes, so I'm hanging in there.
You're hanging in there? All right. All right. Prince, are we hanging in there?
Yes, I'm good. I'm taking my notes.
All right. Work for you guys. Gabriella, how are we doing?
Okay, I'm just trying to find the spreadsheet. I was looking into my computer. I have a little bit of problem trying to follow all with your slideshows. And is there any, is the template for the spreadsheet, is there anywhere that to go and get it, or do we have to create the whole template?
So correct me if I'm wrong. I emailed it last class, true or false?
Okay, that's what it was. Okay.
Awesome.
Only to those that attended or to everyone in the
I
class?
remember that.
I didn't receive it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't
So,
get it. I didn't get it because I wasn't here last week. But I did send you an email.
I did.
yep. So what I can do is when we break and when I call for, yes, I will get it to you by the end of the class. Absolutely. And then I'll put it all there for you guys. All right. 'Cause it's a part of
And
my
to the
note.
accountants in the group, just hang in there with me. This is not my strong suit. So I feel like my questions, I hope I don't get any eye rolls, but thank you for your patience.
No, please take that out of your mind. We're all here to learn, okay?
No worries.
That's right. We're here to learn.
We're all here to learn, honestly.
The questions help us to understand better too.
True.
And if you need any help from any of us accounting nerds, by all means, reach out.
I appreciate that, you guys.
Don't forget what Mark Twain said, right? I always like this quote. I have it tattooed. Is don't ever let education get in the way of learning. Real learning is what we're doing right now. The fact that you ask some questions, that means you're learning. All right. So don't ever feel that way. So please. All right. If you don't ask questions, that means you're not learning. All right. We're good. So let's take a 5-minute mental break. Okay. Right now I'm going to be God and round it up to 8:20. So 8:25, let's come back and then we'll get ready for next week's class. Okay. But I will email you all of my notes that will come with the attachments. Okay. So 5 minutes, let's come back. 8:20, 8:25, we should be back.